Hi, welcome to Audiobook Academy. This is a self-paced audiobook. There's no need to keep an eye on things. Just pay attention. Thank you for taking the time to listen. This is a book summary of Outwitting the Devil. The Secret to Freedom and Success by Napoleon Hill. Is there anything you'd like to do if you could? So what's preventing me from achieving this dream? According to Napoleon Hill, 98% of the population is controlled by fear. To understand why so many of us fail to reach our full potential and how we can adopt strategies to achieve our goals, the author known as the Millionaire Maker wrote Outwitting the Devil in 1938. Although it was written in 1938, it was only published in 2011. This was due to the fact that the book's title was controversial and its criticism of religious institutions and schools. As if Hill, Mr. Earthbound, were interviewing the devil, this book has a Q&A structure that keeps the reader engaged. As a Christian, it is possible to view the devil as the darkness within us, the doubts and anxieties that prevent our full potential from being realized. This summary is a brief guide to some of the factors that nag us and dissuade us from making the most of our lives. There must be a reason why so many people are just going through the motions and not taking advantage of every opportunity that comes their way. Hill asserts that if we use our imagination and get to know ourselves and the world around us, we will be on our way to freedom and success. In order to unlock a greater sense of purpose, we need to engage in role-playing and conversations with ourselves. That which terrifies you the most, regardless of how rational or irrational our fears may be, we all have something that we fear. 98% of humans are afraid of the devil's wrath, according to Mr. Earthbound. We also fear poverty, criticism, illness, losing loved ones, aging, and death, which prevents us from living a full life. Despite the fact that fear is a natural instinct, it is frequently used as an excuse to prevent us from pursuing our goals and aspirations. We don't rationalize our fears, instead, we take action based on them. In the face of fear, we become paralyzed, which leads to procrastination, which in turn leads to stagnation. It's possible that you're short on either time or resources. What's the point of trying if someone else has already done it? It's not an excuse to avoid taking risks, failing, and then trying again. An obstacle deliberately placed in front of us by the devil, fear, can be reframed into something to overcome and triumph over. He claims that drifting, without a goal or purpose, is the first cause of failure. Napoleon Hill. Having no direction in life and feeling isolated and alone are two of the most common causes of a slump or depression of any kind. On top of that, we're paralyzed by our own fears and try to stay away from danger. Black box thinking and daring greatly have taught us that failure is a necessary part of the learning process. Because, as Hill says, every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. We should never be governed by our mistakes. Initially, Napoleon Hill looked at failure, believing that the best way to learn about it was to talk to successful people. However, he shifted his attention to people who had failed. By failing, we could gain valuable insight into how to succeed in the future. We all face challenges, but Hill argues that failure offers us a chance to learn and grow. When we fail, we must reassess our objectives and strategies in order to succeed next time. Positive thinking is the key to resilience, so we must work hard to stay on the path of forward progress at all times. It's our responsibility to reorient and refocus when we've hit a snag. Hill went through a dark period of paranoia and self-doubt in his own life. It's common for us to drift when we lose our sense of direction and purpose, and he was no exception. Drifters lack self-awareness and appear to exist in a state of automaticity. When it comes to drifters, it's all about going with the flow and letting the world influence them. They are unable to think and act on their own because they do not take any risks or decisions. Hill makes the case that being a drifter is instilled in us from a young age, and that the devil is the one who does it. We lose our ability to think for ourselves as a result of early exposure to things that encourage us to live life in a robotic manner. It is Hill's contention that the school system promotes homogeneous behavior. Outcomes-based education emphasizes memorizing and reciting facts. Hill argues that instead, we should place an emphasis on fostering a culture of critical thinking and self-reliance. Instead of relying on standardized tests and memorization, parents and educators should encourage their children to value individuality and creativity. According to Hill, we should cultivate our inner voices and think for ourselves in order to counteract the church's tendency toward conformity. Institutions and indoctrination do not alone corrupt us. Substances such as alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, and junk food also corrupt us. Intoxicating rhythm. According to the power of habit, we are prone to developing good and bad habits. We have a tendency to get stuck in ruts and develop bad habits as a result. We become hypnotized by our daily routines, and this hypnotic state allows us to go through life as if we were on autopilot. As Hill puts it, drifting has a hypnotic rhythm, and in order to break the habit of drifting, we need to practice mindfulness and self-awareness. Listen to your inner voice and ask yourself why you are doing what you are doing. However, if we encourage good habits, the hypnotic rhythm law may work in our favor. Our knowledge of habit formation suggests that bad habits can be replaced with better ones. An engaged and present mindset is the only way to avoid drifting. In addition, we need to set specific goals and objectives. Non-drifters have a clear goal in mind and do not blame others for their failures. Being the star of your own story and acting in a way that showcases all of your strengths is critical. Paying attention to the other self. The voices in our heads often tell us what we should be doing, and it can be difficult to ignore them. When we're feeling low, our intuitive self comes out to play. Often, when we're stuck, our intuition speaks up and encourages us to take a new path. We can easily make out this voice above the din of our own thoughts. We'll know if it's intuitive if it's there. Listening and learning about all the voices in our heads will help us master ourselves. When it comes to using your intuitive voice, knowing when to say yes and no is critical. His first self-help book was inspired to completion by Hill's inspiration, according to legend. Listening to his inner voice, he was advised to finish his manuscript as the first step to breaking out of his trance. He was able to proceed to the next stage after completing the document. An advance and a publishing deal were offered to him after being escorted to a publisher's office. As long as we believe in our own infinite intelligence, we will be able to take calculated risks and develop a clear sense of direction. The devil's in the details. Success isn't just about you, it's about the people around you as well. We have a responsibility to do good deeds for others. Serving our community and assisting those in need is a vital part of our mission. Happiness cannot be achieved on one's own, one must help others to achieve it. Because we are social animals, we derive significance from our relationships. We need to shift our focus from our own problems to those of others in order to recognize that there are always those who are worse off than we are. We gain a greater sense of perspective and purpose as a result of this shift in focus. One more thing to keep in mind is Jim Rohn's average of 5 theory, which proposes that we are the sum of our 5 closest friends and associates. The idea is that the people we spend the most time with have the greatest impact on us, so we must pick and choose carefully who we spend time with. We become more negative if we spend time with people who are negative. Controversial as it may be, Hill asserts that our first loyalty should be to ourselves. Because of this, we must carefully select our social circles and spend time with people who inspire us to our greatest potential. It's time for us to stop doing things because we feel like we have to. As a result, we must cultivate relationships with people who encourage us to reach our full potential instead. Author Hill suggests that we imagine our heroes and engage in role-playing discussions with them. What would my hero tell me to do? Is a good question to ask. How would they advise me? He asked himself. The question is, how would they respond to such a situation? We can learn from other people's good habits and qualities by doing this. In the end, Franklin asked, "Are you in love with life? Time is the most precious commodity in the world, therefore, do not waste it. Time has the potential to be both a friend and a foe. Whether we use our time wisely or waste it, we can either progress or remain stagnant. When it comes to making the most of our time, the devil frequently tempts us to squander it by allowing us to drift aimlessly. When it comes to being self-serving, Outwitting the Devil teaches us that it's perfectly acceptable. We don't have to appease everyone, and prioritizing our own needs will make us more effective in the long run. We're more likely to be able to help others if we stay focused on our own goals and values. We can plan ahead, set clear goals, and develop a deep sense of purpose by using the power of positive thinking. It's possible to do this if we pay attention to our intuition, rely on our infinite intelligence, and resist the temptation to act rashly. Finally, in order to defeat the devil, we must live a conscious and disciplined life, and recognize that we are the ones who can change our future. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you in next audiobook.